I, 29 female, cheated on my husband, 35 male of 10 years, how to move on from here. We've been married 10 years and had 3 children. Our marriage has had plenty of ups and downs, especially during the recent few years. I have always struggled with depression and have been very overwhelmed with my life for the past year. We have no family nearby, issues with kids, etc. And I had many feelings of wanting to escape my life. I love my husband, but I ended up having an affair a few months ago. We only met 3 times, but emailed regularly, up until the point where everything came out 2 weeks ago. My husband found an email account of mine, in which he read messages with another man I had just met, though we had not had intimacy yet. Yes, I was beginning a second affair. So I have told him everything. He wants to forgive me and move on. He is alternating between feeling very angry, to the point where he came very close to going to find the other man and harming him, extremely sad and hopeful, compassionate towards me. He realizes that this was not really me. I have never done anything like this, and I need to figure out why I did it. He asked me to get STD testing and counseling, which I've scheduled. He also contacted the wives of these 2 other men and told them what happened. I have no contact with either of them right now, though I did talk to the one I had been involved with for longest, and that conversation did not go well. We were never in love, and us being together was never a possibility, though I thought we did care for each other on some level. Now, I feel like maybe I was a fool, and that is hard to deal with as well. I want to be happy with my husband. I am willing to do whatever it will take to find out if we can be happy together. Our kids deserve that. In the meantime, every day is a struggle. He thinks I don't really love him, or I wouldn't have been able to do the things I did. The other man lived a great distance away. There was a lot of deception involved in the few times I saw him. He will ask me about details of the affair, and I am trying to be transparent and honest, but sometimes it will set him off into a rage. I have wondered if it would have been better if I just ended the affair, worked on my marriage, and never even told him. This is excruciating for both of us. If anyone has been through this, I would love to hear what helped and how you fixed a mess like this. Thanks. Edited to add. Someone asked me to add more info about the relationship up to now. I've been with husband since I was 17 years old. We were both of the same religion then, but in the past couple of years I have given up all religion and he has converted to an entirely different one. That caused issues. We also had a dead bedroom for a long time, which I blame mostly on years of childbearing and breastfeeding, along with my depression and our struggling relationship. I am not making excuses for what I did, there is no excuse. But our relationship hasn't been great in a really long time. I'm a stay-at-home mom with no family nearby. I very rarely get a break, and my life has revolved around him and my kids for the past 7 years. I did not fall in love with the man I was involved with, but I did fall in lust, and totally ate up any attention he gave me. I sort of disconnected the whole experience with real life, and anyone who knows the real me would never believe I could do something like this. I feel terrible for what I did to husband, and seeing him so angry and laying on the floor sobbing about how this has destroyed him. Yet he still loves me, and is supporting me, and wants to see me get better so we can be happy again. That's all I want. I feel like I made a huge mess of this, and I will focus on earning his trust back. Yet I still feel broken by the whole experience and am trying to come out of this fog and gain some clarity on what to do. Thanks. Story 2. I, 25 female, made my mom, 60 female, cry and am struggling to understand what happened. I would say I have a good relationship with both my parents, but my mother can be over-anxious and my father over-critical of me and her, nothing too severe. They've been married around 30 years. My mother often has a lot of anxiety over handling stuff, such as renovations to the house, because if done wrong my dad will complain about it, but he also swings between not helping and being a bit of a control freak. A year or so ago I told my mom I was in a same intimacy relationship and that it was serious. She told me she would always love me but not to tell my dad, as it might not be what he imagined for me, and she would tell him when the time was right. I accepted this because my dad had been mildly homophobic in the past, and can also be difficult. Almost a year later my partner was staying with me, and we discussed the idea of her staying for Christmas. I texted my mom about this and she said she was welcome to stay, but also kept suggesting reasons why my partner might not want to. I told her my partner had went ahead and rearranged her flights, at which point my mom asked us to pretend we were just friends when visiting. I said I didn't think this was acceptable to do to my partner of 4 years just to keep my dad happy, and suggested maybe me or my partner stay away that year. She mentioned at the time it was not because of me, but she was worried it would impact her own relationship with my dad. My mom eventually caved and told him. She didn't say anything else other than apparently he already knew from some hints she had dropped. The whole Christmas plans ended up cancelled because of lockdown anyway. I eventually returned to my parents for a while and they both seemed fine, asking about my partner and joking about her on a few occasions, and my dad sending his love to me and her during lockdown. I want to be happy with my husband. I am willing to do whatever it will take to find out if we can be happy together. Our kids deserve that. In the meantime, every day is a struggle. He thinks I don't really love him, or I wouldn't have been able to do the things I did. The other man lived a great distance away. There was a lot of deception involved in the few times I saw him. He will ask me about details of the affair, and I am trying to be transparent and honest, but sometimes it will set him off into a rage. I have wondered if it would have been better if I just ended the affair, worked on my marriage, and never even told him. This is excruciating for both of us. If anything, before this weekend, I would have said my impression was my dad was more receptive to the idea of me and my partner together than my mom. But of course I have no idea what they say to each other privately. I did hear my mom once say my partner wasn't as impressive as her CV seemed. They have only spoken a few times through video call when me and my partner were in lockdown. I plan to introduce them the next time my partner comes. My partner is amazing and has a great personality, but was a bit shy, awkward over video, totally normal. Essentially, I thought the whole thing was fine. This month me and my partner decided it was time to let them know we were planning on getting married next year. As I'm closer to my mom, and she was visiting anyway, and I thought she would be more anxious, I took her out to dinner and tried to tell her. She basically stopped me right at the beginning and began to cry, telling me she had spent a year terrified she would have to leave my dad if he reacted badly, and that the day I made her do it was horrible. She didn't want me to tell her then without my dad, but she already seems to know what I want to say. She also asked me if I had planned to invite her and tell her to send her back to my dad to tell, which isn't the case. I would have told him in my own time, but she was so upset and left after I never got the chance to say this. I backed out and said we could pretend nothing happened, but she cried the rest of the visit. She tried to get on with me and hugged me a few times, just seemed really sad. Later I told her I would always take care of her, and she said she would try to do the same for me, very tearfully. She apologized for the visit not ending like either of us expected. I feel totally blindsided. I knew my mom has some anxieties and my dad isn't the kindest person, but I feel like maybe I selfishly blanked over a lot of this. Is their relationship worse than I thought? Have I been adding to their problems? I expected her to be upset or worried given she is normally protective of me, but I didn't realize there was this element with my dad at play. Am I just an idiot who didn't pick up on cues? I now think I should tell them both at the same time at Christmas, but will that make things worse? I basically have no idea what just happened. I tried to include all relevant details, but not sure what to include because I legit don't understand.